You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Hey, everybody, McGillbilly here.
And I'm Jamie.
We are the Good Guys, and this is one more for the Good Guys podcast. We have a special guest in studio with us today here in the Honky Tonk. Fella that we've known for a long, long time, a legend around these parts, and a wonderful friend and a talented musician and singer, Mr. Michael Crawley. Welcome, brother.
Welcome to you guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, man.
It's about time. It's we talked about doing it before, and just life, you know.
Life. Try to keep track of y'all as much as I can.
We'll get the cigar. What are you smoking today, Jamie? Real quick.
I'm smoking one of my favorites.
The champagne?
The champagne, but Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne, which is one of our 12 cigars of Christmas.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And always one of my favorites.
And I'm smoking the Montosa Maduro and Robusto.
Also.
San Andres. Also in the 12 cigars of Christmas this year by United Cigars. This is, we've had a whole episode about Montosa cigars, so go back and watch that. But Mexican Sumatra wrapper, San Andres binder with Nicaraguan fillers, and Brazilian.
Yeah, Brazilian fillers. That was the one when the guy asked for the Brazilian and we forgot about it. Because we carry 3. Well, 4 now, I guess. So.
But you'll be finding out lots more about these cigars and the 12 cigars of Christmas. And if you want to know anything else about those and or about the other stuff that we carry, go to goodguyscigars. The rest of that. And if you're here for the first time, thank you. If you're coming back for another time, thank you for that as well. Be sure to hit the likes and subscribes and the notification bells, especially notifications with the content being very limited, with YouTube losing their minds about cigars and tobacco. It'll help keep you posted on what we're doing and the episodes that we got coming up. So, Crawley, how you been, buddy?
I'm good. Pohanna just hit me up, said hello. I told him I was coming over here, and we had a little running joke about the old blues guys. Now the older blues guys, they all wear Ray-Bans and beanies and stuff. So I had a Ray-Ban and a hat on, so I took a picture of myself. I sent it to Poe to make him laugh. But I'm doing well, very well.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I think one of the first times I was dating a girl one time, and came. No, it was all right. It didn't end well, but
won't mention any names.
Que sera. No, we went to the downtown brewery one time and got to see the Mac Daddies. This is the first time I had ever seen you perform and seen you guys play, and was impressed with it. The whole time you guys were tearing up Knoxville, I was up in Sevier County and the bluegrass world doing. So when I finally came to Knoxville to start really performing, I was a total newbie. I didn't know anybody, in the scene.
I have a picture of you and Jeff on the barge with short hair and.
Oh yeah,
I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Short hair and red, white, and blue matching guitars, man. We opened up for Taylor Swift.
Yes. Yeah.
The Drunk Uncles, the Detroit Daddies.
I told you.
Taylor Swift, yeah.
I told you I opened for Taylor Swift one time.
Back when she was a kid.
Taylor, we could use some money.
Yeah.
I think she had one album, maybe. You'll have to check with Snuckles on that.
I think it was during that time she had that Tim McGraw song out. Wasn't that her?
It was a little later on, yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I think she was a kid and she might have had one album. I don't know.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. What a time. That was well, those were wilder days.
You guys are good, man. The Drunk Uncles were really, you guys, We opened up as a duo, Detroit Dave and I.
Yeah.
And we did our thing, and we hung out because we had another gig. We hung out long enough to listen to you guys, and I took some pictures.
Yeah.
And as we were leaving, getting on that boat, the other boat was coming out with her tiny little entourage with her parents.
Yeah.
Her parents are really nice. I don't even remember seeing her, though, because I didn't know who she was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, nobody did.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think she had that song out, and that's about all I knew.
But you guys were really good, man. The Drunk Uncles.
Well, thanks, man. We had a good time doing it most of the time.
I was an honorary member of that band. I don't know if you remember that.
You
we
were
did,
indeed.
3 gigs at.
We played up at Bristol with us one time at the Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or Rhythm and Roots, whatever it's called. Ours was Rhythm and Blooms. Rhythm and Roots is up there.
Yes, I always got those confused.
Yeah, and then we did
the Shed.
We did the Shed.
Up for somebody, didn't we?
And then it seemed like we did a Barley's gig or something. Yeah. For something. Was it?
Brewfest.
That's right.
Brewfest.
It was Brewfest.
Vince Logan and those guys played after us, and they did that Talking Heads cover band. It was like so good.
Oh, and that was kind of right when that first came out, wasn't it? That same as it ever was.
They were good too.
Yeah, they were good, and they're still working. I don't think Vince.
No, Vince.
I think they've had several reiterations of the bands.
We could spend a whole hour on Vince, man.
Yeah, well, I seen Vince at where were we at? Well, we were at the 10-year celebration for Trailhead. Back in the. Was that September?
October.
October, was it?
That was an all-day fest, too, wasn't it?
It was, and I ran into Vince there. I hadn't seen or talked to him in quite some time. And he was, of course, doing a bunch of sideman stuff, but he's playing with a group called the Cleverleys.
Cleverleys. He's playing with he's playing with Sean and his wife, McCullough.
Yeah.
He's also part of the Sheiks.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get to see him on a pretty regular basis.
Vince and I are pretty tight. We spent a lot of time.
Great bass player.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time doing the Parrot Head thing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we played Key West in '99 together. That was really cool. Yeah. I call him Cousin Vinny. Back when we were hanging out real tight, we'd travel together. And when Mark McGuire and Sosa were doing that, that thing, so every time I see him, I... instead of slapping them 5 or high-fiving them, we do that thing.
Yeah. What, when did you start performing? Like, you knew that was, I don't know, I want to say like you knew that was, what was your first gig?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Well, officially, my first gig was in 1965 with my brother. We played in a band called The Bugs, and we were playing Beatle records, and he was playing on a big Mayflower box, and I was singing. We had a neighbor of ours, Tony Leach, I remember his name. We had 2 different gigs. We had a gig in my basement, and we had a gig in Mark Stosky's basement, who actually became a pro bowler for about a minute or 2 in the neighborhood. But we would play Beatle records, and we'd mime them, and we had cardboard guitars with yardsticks. This guy across the street, Tony Leach, was kind of a creative artist kind of dude. So he cut out these guitars, and a couple of they looked like Strats to me when we were kids, and he glued yardsticks to these pieces of cardboard, and we'd play those and just mime the Beatles, And Tony actually played left-handed, like McCartney.
Wow!
And we did a battle of the bands. I think it was '64. We were just 10, 11, 12,
Yeah.
And Mark Stosky blew everybody away. It was his gig, and he did Twist and Shout, and he just nailed it. He was screaming and rolling on the ground. And so he got all the money and the popcorn and the girls. So that was my first experience, because the Beatles had come on at the Ed Sullivan Show, like most of us our age. Our parents stuck us in front of the TV, Ed Sullivan. Yeah, and that was like life-changing, one of the life-changing moments.
Did you get to see that live?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 63, I was in 3rd grade in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I was telling you, we lived there for a little while. and I was at St. Benedict's Elementary School. And some of that stuff is so vivid because Kennedy got shot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a Catholic church, Irish Catholic, raised Irish Catholic. Big family on one side. My dad was an only child, but he was Irish Catholic too. But I remember being in the auditorium at that time that Kennedy got shot, and they hustled us all into the, I guess it was the cafeteria. Yeah, and it was just like,
November 22nd, 63.
It was that kind of feeling. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I remember coming home from school one day and was on the bus and heard that Reagan had been shot. I was just, we were like right at where they were going to drop us off here at the bus. And I remember just, rushing inside to see what that was all about.
I remember that too. I saw it on a TV at Miller's at Westtown Mall. I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, there were two of those end cap stores that had restaurants in them too.
Those are cool, like Woolworths. And
yeah, that was before the revamp the way it is now.
Well, now, did Miller's have the downtown place, and they had a couple?
Yeah, they had They were at Westtown originally. They were original store at Westtown when it opened.
See, I get jealous when I hear you guys talk about early Knoxville because I didn't get here till '91. But the people that I met early on, like Rick Wolf and Steve Horton and Castle and all those guys, they were so rich in history, their knowledge of Knoxville.
Yeah.
But I would just, I go to a rehearsal with the Yuns or something like that and just absorb all this stuff,
Yeah.
Same with you, Jamie. You're old school too.
Well, and you'd hear about they lived through those days here of they probably were I don't know, they would have been around though. Those guys would have been around during the midday merry-go-round days and stuff like that.
Ed Quartz and his brother and all those guys, they were all involved in that. There was a whole section of folks that I met later on, like the Coyotes. I didn't get to see those guys, and I saw Smokin' Dave and the Primo Dopes just briefly when they broke up because I got here in '91, and all that stuff had already happened,
Right.
So I got to hear the tail end of it.
Yeah.
And we played at Hawkeye's Corner when I first got here.
Yeah.
Steve Brown, you guys know drummer Steve Brown, played with Hector, taught
played with Crawdaddy. I played with him with you.
Yes, yeah. He was my first musical connection. Him and Jeff Trabolka. But Steve was my girlfriend at the time. I moved from California, Santa Barbara, to Lenore City. Steve was her drum instructor during the summer.
Was she originally from here?
Born and raised in Lenore City.
Okay. I was
Terry
like, how
Rice,
the hell do you leave Santa Barbara to come to Lenore City?
That's another long-winded story.
Yeah,
we moved here. She had a big family too. She had a set of cousins that were all named Jay except for the oldest son, Freddie. And when I first moved here, didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
And she had got a job working with the Red Wolf Project out in the Smokies, and I was here, basically by myself. And she asked me, she goes, "Hey, can you go to Uncle or Cousin Freddie's funeral? Because this is a big family." And I said, "Yeah." And it was like one of the most moving moments of my first, recollection of East Tennessee. I go to this funeral home in Lenore City, and I barely knew anybody, but they were all real nice to me because they knew who I was. I was dating Terry Rice, So at the beginning of the memorial service, this guy walks up with a boombox, and he's playing Freebird, and he sets it on top of the casket and walks back, and everybody just wept like babies, man. And I'm sitting there, I don't even know this guy. I'm holding back the tears, man. And they let it roll until the end, man. I go, man, I am in East Tennessee, man.
Holy shit.
That's a great story.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, so you come here. How did you go about trying to find folks? Did you?
Terry knew her nickname was Fluffy, too, by the way. And I come to find out that she's got a lot of connections with the Sheiks and some of the guys. They go to church together now. But we broke up after about a year or so living here. And she gave me Steve Brown's number. And I called him up. I said, hey, new in town. This is what I've been doing, playing and listening to. He goes, you got to be kidding me. He goes, we're doing almost the exact same stuff. They were covering, they did some originals, but they were a band called Bluefish. You guys remember Scott Campbell? And,
I played with
Jim
him
Williams and Steve and Detroit Dave. And they played every Thursday night at Hawkeye's Corner in early 90s. And then they did a thing called the Blue Sardines on Wednesday, which it was acoustic version. And Scott Campbell was like, that guy had a great mind. Steve said he's one of the first people he ever met that his synapses would just explode when he got on stage. And he would create all these, he'd change lyrics of songs right in the middle of a song, make everybody laugh. Everybody loved him. He had trivia night, or not trivia night, he would just do trivia. He would give gifts away if people knew titles of songs and things like that, you know. So those guys were playing every Thursday night, and I just showed up one night, and they were so nice to me. Scott goes, hey, man, I heard you play harp. He goes, I want to take a break. He just gives me his microphone, his green bullet, you know. So I got up there and I sang a few songs. So I already knew some of the set list, you know. And then Jim Williams had played with Hector and Steve and Dirk, I think it was his Wellington. They played with Hector Kirko's band.
Yeah.
They Jim and Scott wanted to quit Hawkeyes because of the smoke. The secondhand smoke was just killing them, you know. They were like, I like your secondhand smoke.
A lot different than cigarette smoke.
So I just kind of moved right in to Bluefish because they quit and we got Rick Wolf to play. So it was me and Detroit Dave, Rick Wolf, and Steve Brown. And that was the core Crawdaddy in 92.
Yeah.
And we played right up until 97, every Thursday night. And then we started getting them. You probably saw us shortly after that. We took like a couple months off when Detroit Dave and Steve had a little bit of situation to where, you know, they wanted to let the band go. You remember that?
Yes.
You remember that in detail, probably.
Yeah.
So it was like from 92 to 97, we played. As a matter of fact, I think I might have mentioned this to you. I have a calendar from 96, and we played like 27 nights, days and nights. We were doing like the acoustic stuff, duo stuff. Called ourselves Craw Baby.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, that's how the ball started when I came in from California.
Man, you're at the right place, the right time. Then
yeah, it was
in with those
it was perfect timing.
That caliber of musicians too.
Yeah, because I knew nothing about them playing with Hector, and Hector already had like maybe 1 or 2 records out, and Hector was just another quality guy.
Oh yeah.
I talked to my wife a little bit earlier. I asked her. I said, man, I was driving here. I said, man, can you give me some talking points just in case, I have a brain fart? She goes, you'll be all right. She said, just talk about the quality of Knoxville musicians. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what it was. I fell right into this.
Yeah.
I had no idea because it was similar to Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara had a great blues scene, a blues society with Mitch Cashmar and Tom Ball and the Pontiacs. I was in a band called Crane Crawley, and that's another story I could go on and on about. Santa Barbara. It was such a great town.
When did you start playing harp?
Well, my grandmother lived in Hawaii for about a minute and a half with my grandfather. He was a paint salesman from Chicago, and he got this really good job, traveling around. He ended up in Whittier, California for a little while, and then they transferred him to fucking Honolulu, man.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. And so he lived there, and they'd come back when they could afford it, because it's still, for that caliber of job, they didn't have a whole lot of money.
Sure.
Yeah.
And plus, he's living in Hawaii.
But yeah.
He would send us on 62, 63, and 64. I remember every Christmas, he would send us reel-to-reels, and he would play this. And it was real kind of a dry, kind of a, oh, grandson number 1, grandson number 2, and he would wish us a Merry Christmas, and he would tell us what was going on with him and his working partner, Bob Watanabe, you know. He was hanging out with all the Hawaiians. And so my grandmother came back one year, and she had a little lady. And Hohner harmonicas, they make these, you see harmonica players hanging them around their neck, you know, and people give these things to me now all the time. But she gave me this 10-note little lady, Hohner harmonica, in a little case. It was right around when I was listening to Beatle 45s, you know. And just so happens, Love Me Do was in the same key as this little harmonica. And I was 8 years old. You know, and I'm like, da, 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 you know, I'm just blowing on it, like, didn't know what the heck I was doing. And it started to make sense. You know, I'm in the right key. I have no musical talent at all, other than just singing along to 45s or the record or the radio and stuff. And that was it. That started it all.
No kidding. And
Grandma
it was
Crawley.
a Hohner little lady.
Yeah, and you see them all the time. You run into harmonica players. I met one guy that had like 30 of them on a hat, you know, the rim of his hat, you know. But yeah,
they're almost like a little keychain type.
And they got them plated in gold.
Yeah.
But they work. I wish I'd had one with me. I'd have brought it. I got like 20 of them at the house. You know, people nowadays, I know this happens to you guys a lot, I'm sure. When you're playing a gig or something, someone will bring a gift up to you, you know.
Yeah.
I've been gifted like these little harmonicas by, you know, everybody and their brother, it seems.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
And they work. Most of them work. The cheap ones don't. But Hohner made these years ago with those little tiny little brass reeds, and you could play Frere Jacques, or you could play what's the other tune everybody wants to? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 notes on it.
Well, how long did it take you to last till you upgraded?
Yeah. So I did that for a little while. Kind of kicked around a little bit.
Cut some yards, delivered some papers.
Exactly. 8, 9, 10. I didn't really get, you know, I got the rock and roll bug in junior high, you know. I met a guy in ninth grade. His name was David Allen. This guy was like one of those aficionados as far as like with your cigars and stuff. Knew everything about rock and roll. He's one of those, it's like Mick and Keith met or something. You know, it's like we're on the bus stop, and we were going to junior high, and I think we had a stop at his stop, and he lived real close to, but he liked to get on the bus and just talk to people. He sat down next to me. I think it was 7th grade when I met him, but it wasn't until 9th grade till we made this music connection, and we started talking. And he said, "Hey man, are you like some rock and roll?" And we were talking. He goes, "Come on by the house, man." He goes, "I heard you got a Neil Young record that you want to swap." And I did. I had like After the Gold Rush, and I had played it like a zillion times.
Right.
And I traded it for Pete Townshend's "Who Came First," his first solo record. And I thought I got the better deal.
Yeah.
I love Neil Young, but we made that connection. Okay, it was 10th grade. He started playing. He was in a neighborhood that just loved rock and roll. It was a certain part of. I grew up in Detroit, and we were in Taylor, which we called Taylor, Tucky, you know, and it was just a few miles south. If you talk to anybody from Michigan, they go like this, okay?
Yeah.
So here's Detroit, and here's Taylor, Tucky, on your way to Toledo, right? So, I lost my train of thought. So Dave,
your next harmonica.
Yeah. So So he invited me a few years later. He was in this neighborhood that everybody played rock and roll, and I was in this kind of like the sports neighborhood, you know. Everybody on my street, the streets, you know, we played baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, you know. We actually we froze our backyards. Yeah. We had a couple guys dads would go out there and, you know, in the wintertime would just freeze the yard, have it kind of like iced over. They didn't have Zambonis, but they would just ice them over. And my dad made us, goals out of like 2x4s and this real hardcore chicken wire, you know?
Yeah.
So that was basically the sportsy neighborhood that I lived in. But these guys were rock and rollers, and I always wanted to hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
So Dave Allen was a guitar player as well. He learned how to play guitar shortly after we swapped records. And he was the first guy that asked me to come sing with him because he knew I was into music. He knew I wanted to sing.
Yeah.
It was like maybe 10th or 11th grade. And he invited me to this jam. And it was like in somebody's garage. It was kind of makeshift. We had a keyboard and a drummer and 2 guitars and this microphone. And the microphone was set up to where the wiring was just a little goofy and a little weird, you know. And they asked me to come up and sing "Sunshine of Your Love," the first song I ever really sang live. Yeah, by Cream. And so I get up there, and I am balls nervous, man. And I grab the microphone, you know, and the keyboard player, Mark Mahalik, I'll never forget, I wanted to punch him. First musician I ever wanted to punch, right? I kept grabbing the mic. He goes, "Don't grab the mic." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's a short in the wire." Okay, all right. First time ever. Grabbed it again. He's yelling at me again. I'm like, so we got through with the song, you know, and you know, I thought I did pretty good. I walked off. I said, "No, this is not going to happen. I'm not coming back." Dave pulls me off the side. He says, "Dude, let's start a band." Fuck that guy. I love you, Mark. I know you're probably out there. I still know his brother and some of those guys from the Downriver area in Detroit are, you know, still good friends of mine. But that was the first initial, you know, song band that I was actually involved in, you know.
Yeah.
And it sucked. It sucked bad. I left out of there, and Dave was like cajoling me, like, "Oh man, this will work, man." And the guy who was playing drums was named Bill Rain, and I'm still friends with him. I could call him right now. And Dave, he's still alive too. But this was, I want to say 12th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. So 1972, 1973. And that was my first initial. I went out and I swear to God, I went to Weaver Music and I bought my first microphone. And it was one of those Shure microphones that had the cord still connected to it.
Sure.
It had an on-off switch.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it was like a treasured moment for me, you know?
Yeah.
So I had a harmonica and I had this microphone and I joined that band. And we sat in the basement the whole winter and just hung out, covered music. The first handful of bands that we actually covered were like, you know, anything that was happening in 72, 73 or early on. All the Woodstock bands. Santana. We tried to write some of our own music too. We had a couple of really good originals. But we were basically in it for the girls, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But got really nervous, man, at first, you know, because we were down there in that basement and these guys wanted to book gigs, you know. So we did a couple of garage gigs. We called ourselves Ernie and the Neighborhood Gang. And the reason that they used Ernie is because I had horn-rimmed glasses for a while and I looked just like Ernie Douglas from My Three Sons. But that was my first band, man. I'll never forget those guys, man. I still, you know how it is, man. When your first initial moment to where, you know, when you play your first note or you sing your first note or you hang out with the first handful of musicians,
sure,
you know, and you go into that basement, it smells like ass warmed over.
Yeah.
So I can still, every now and then, I'll go to a rehearsal and go, that kind of smells like the first rehearsal.
That's funny.
So that was it. Ernie and the Neighborhood Gang was the first band, and it lasted a whole year, 1972-ish to 3-ish. And then that's when the drugs and alcohol kicked in. And, I was off to the races.
You were in the
years.
sunshine of your love for a few years.
But we did a couple of Santana tunes. We did Traffic, Dear Mr. Fantasy, because they had a harmonica right at the top. Bill Rayner, the drummer, he had a real high falsetto voice, so we did Open Your Eyes, Let It Begin, that Santana song, and he would sing that high falsetto. So we did that, and we did, I have a playlist. I could probably pull it up someday. But I have a playlist of almost every song we covered. Now, 10 years after, we did a lot of obscure stuff, too. You know, Dave was one of those guys, he didn't want to cover the hits. None of us really did, you know, so we were just learning.
Right.
So we were covering all the songs that we liked, you know.
Yeah.
And we were all in 12th grade, I think, at the time. We played a 9th grade prom. And that was our first real gig, Ernie and the Neighborhood Gang. We ended up calling ourselves something else, Jessica or something, because we were playing Allman Brothers.
Sure.
And I remember
But that's a pretty good gig.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean,
and we had
like just coming out of the stinky basement.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good gig playing the prom.
We had a whole set of tunes, and we played. And my dad actually stood outside this auditorium and listened to me. He goes, "Yeah, you guys sounded pretty good, but it sounded like you were singing through a trash can."
Sounds like something my dad would say.
But
couldn't hear
yeah,
you.
it was cool, man. It was my first real experience, and it was one of those gigs. I know you guys have played them, where it's like we're playing for ninth graders, and they hate the music we're playing.
Oh yeah,
and we're only 3 years away from these people, you know, and they're dressed up to do a kind of a ninth grade prom, you know, and we're hammering out cream and and I'm blowing some horrible harmonica, but still.
No, man.
So that was my first real fun experience with that.
To be young again.
I know, man. Yeah.
Apparently, that playing for proms was was pretty commonplace back then.
Yeah.
You know, now, never. It's a DJ.
Like Back to the Future, Michael.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Except for
I mean, that was the era, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have the MP3 playlists and the DJ. I mean, the DJ actually worked at the radio station and was a personality versus somebody who got a gig to come in and DJ music for the night. And
it was some crazy times. So it was a little after the British invasion and a little before the prog rock thing. So we were stuck right in the middle, and we just wanted to play kind of rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
We just, I wanted to be a rock star. I learned later trying to be a musician's much more fun, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you have those dreams and those aspirations of being like Mick and being like Jim Morrison and being like Robert Plant and all your heroes and stuff, you know? And then I found out who their heroes were, you know?
Right.
The Howlin' Wolves. And the reason, I know you guys have done this before, your research, back in the day, we would look on the credits of albums and find out who wrote what.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Found out that
that's
Kenley
one thing I miss a
was
lot.
Muddy Waters, you know?
Yeah.
And Howlin' Wolf was Chester Burnett and so on and so forth. And that's how I found out about Little Walter and all those guys. And before I had a period where I was missing action for a few years with a lot of I won't mention the drugs I was taking, but there was some I had some moments where I was like
some masculine involved.
Oh man, we were tripping in 9th, 10th, 11th grade, smoking pot, and it all kind of came to a head like in 74. You know, my father had no idea what to do with me. I was a mess. We're all just hippies trying to be cool, you know, trying to be trying to be in bands and running the streets of Detroit.
What was your so around that time then is when you started kind of finding out about, like you said, about Howlin' Wolf and Little Walter and Muddy Waters and all that stuff. Did you deep dive into that once you found that?
As deep as I could. Yeah. I remember the first blues record I had. I went to on Michigan Avenue in Detroit or in Dearborn. There was this place called Peaches. I don't know if you remember there was a chain. We had Dearborn Music. We had Peaches, and they were kind of rivals music stores. So I went, and there was this guy. You know, it was like, I don't know, it might have been 76 or 75, 76. There was this guy. He was a salesman, dressed to the nines as far as the disco look. You know, I had his shirt wide open. You know, and they were playing Casey and the Sunshine Band or somebody. You know, and I walked in. I said, "Hey, man, where's your blues section?" He goes, "Blues? Why do you want to listen to blues? They're out. Blues are out, man." I'm like, "Where's your blues section?" And so he walks me over there, and I just stumbling around, and I picked the first one I thought was like it. And it was Buddy Guy and Junior Wells live at the Pepper Lounge. And I went home and I played that thing. And I had a couple of harmonicas at the time, you know. And I played that thing, and I heard Junior Wells singing Checking Out My Baby and Stomachache and a few other ones. And I was like, I picked up my harmonica and I actually played along to a couple of them. Because like I didn't have any music knowledge. Okay, so I was.
You had ears.
Yeah, I was playing by ear. So I'd pick up a harp and I would blow that checking out my.
Did you build up some calluses after a while?
Yeah,
playing by ear.
Definitely, man.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
And so
the bad dad joke.
Nah, that's okay. I got a few of those too. So Live at the Pepper Lounge was like my first blues record, and I kind of.
So you could hear it, and you started playing along with it, and you're like, "Holy shit, I can do this."
Prior to that, on Thanksgiving, about 2 years before that, my cousin, God love him, he's one of the coolest guys on the planet, Tim McLogan. We used to have this big Irish Catholic family and we'd all sit there and have these holidays together. Thanksgiving, I think it had been 65 or 66, maybe a little later than that. My cousin, we were downstairs in my basement. I said, "Hey, man," I was telling him about, I was listening to the Beatles, and he goes, "I got one for you, man." He goes, "Next time you're at the record store, go buy Bob Dylan's Freewheelin', since you're playing a harmonica." And he sat there, and he recited Talking World War III Blues from start to finish, like as a poem. And I just lost my mind. I said, that's probably another one of those cool moments.
Sure, yeah.
It just made sense. It was like, Dave and I actually learned it later. It was fun, but it was just like, okay, went out and bought Freewheelin', and that's another one of those snowball things. I started doing deep dives on Dylan. That was right before I got that blues record, the Buddy Guy blues record. But so that was my initial kind of like after the harmonica from my grandmother. The second big moment was getting Freewheelin'.
Yeah.
And having my cousin recite that. I thought he was God.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Times go, one time I was walking World War III. Went to the doctor the very next day to see what kind of words he had to say. Said it was a bad dream. Don't worry about it, none. Them old dreams are only in your head. He went from start to finish, man. I was like, I want to be like that when I grow up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So growing up in Detroit, and I haven't heard you really mention any of this as any of your influences, but I mean, you're there in the shadow of Motown, right? I mean, and it's right during the time when is that kind of like growing up at UT and kind of not wanting to watch UT sports? Or, I mean, was that an influence on you too? Or
Huge. The Motown thing was actually, back up just a little bit, the Temptations were like my Black Beatles, okay? So I had Sgt. Pepper for Christmas. My brother had Abbey Road, so we'd back and forth, downstairs listening to that record. And then I had Psychedelic Shack and Cloud Nine, and there was a third Temptation record I had, and Smokey, and so I just played the heck out of it. And I found out through the deep dive thing who was writing all the stuff. Like Smokey was writing a lot of those guys' hits for Stevie and all those guys. And it was like you didn't really think about it. I think about it a lot now, but being from Detroit and having, being exposed to the Ambo Dukes and Bob Seger and Iggy Pop and Scott Richard Case and all those, early Ann Arbor bands, and then Motown. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I
felt blessed, man. I felt even more blessed later on. And of course I made one of those playlists now. I got a Detroit playlist.
Boy, yeah.
And I even put Jack White on there, man, the Reds, his first couple of records. But yeah, I got this playlist, and I play it when I golf sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
By myself, because a lot of times people, being a golfer.
Well, if you're in a group, you're kind of, you got enough shit to laugh at, right? Or cuss at.
Not to get off the subject. You and I need to get out there. I called him one time, man. I was all excited about playing golf with him, and he was like, I just bought a house, I'm revamping this, I'm doing this. It was right around the time you were doing stuff, I think, with that house.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We played was it last year or this year? Early this year. We played.
I guess it was early this year.
and I couldn't walk for 2 days. I mean, it was.
I played yesterday, Williams Creek.
Oh yeah, I used to play a lot.
I grew up in a mile from there.
Did you really?
On Riverside.
What a great little course. Yeah. What a great little course.
I used to play a lot. I got into it. My brother took me. My brother was a golfer, and he took me for the first time. We were on vacation over in Myrtle Beach, and he took me to a par 3 course over there my first time around. And, of course, I guess, more than anything, I just wanted to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because he was doing it probably more than anything. I mean,
singing too.
Yeah, singing as well, because he was always, he was so much older than I was that.
Does your brother still sing?
No.
Is he still with us?
He's not. He passed away on January 1st.
Oh, man. This year?
This year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, he was my hero. And what a singer.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
The first time I ever played golf was with you. Ever.
Yeah.
I had gone with Dad, and he'd let me hit some balls.
So
but the first time I ever played,
set a date,
it was like 45 degrees, and we were at Dandridge.
Yeah,
and we got up to I think it might have been a par 4 or something. And of course, I couldn't hit any woods. I was just learning. And Dad had got me this old set of clubs, And
those persimmons?
No, they were metal, but these irons were no-name irons, and I hit it, and the head came off and went into the pond. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. It was
Do you
me.
still play?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Me, I mean,
Ish.
I still,
like all of us.
I quit taking it seriously, and then it got real fun, And we knocked it around all right for not having played in 5 years, but Bones was with us, Ronnie, you, me.
Bones, like not Bones.
No, not Bones. My buddy's dad.
Right on.
He's passed on now too. But it was like 45 degrees. We were freezing, and that's the first time I ever played.
I do remember that now.
I want to say maybe though it was 3 Ridges for some reason.
No, it was Dandridge. I believe.
Dandridge.
You know what? You mentioned family. My father was a huge influence on my early listening. He and my uncle, when we lived in Detroit on Dakota Street, the Irish Catholics back in the day, they all lived in the same house for a while. So my uncle and my grandmother and my mom and my brother, and I was like 1 or 2. My brother was 2 or 3. And just before we moved to Taylor, my dad bought a house on a GI Bill. We lived with all those people, Yeah. My mom's 2 or 3 brothers and her grandmother, who raised them. She raised a family of 7. So my grandfather was he was a player. Mac, he'd walk into a bar and go, "Hey, Mac's here," He'd buying everybody drinks, But they used to take showers, and we would hear them, not together, of course. They would take showers separately, and they would sing Nat King Cole. They would sing, anybody that was relevant back then.
Right.
And they would just nail these things. My dad had a pretty good voice for someone who didn't sing, besides in church and stuff. And my uncle, he was like my second dad, my Uncle George. And he would nail these tunes while he was in the shower, and he'd come out and we'd ask him to sing, in the kitchen. I was only 2 or 3. And I remember going on a trip one time and asking those guys to sing and they would sing with the radio too.
Right.
So fast forward to a year before my dad died. He slipped on the ice. He had cancer, but he was in remission. He slipped on the ice and cracked his patella.
Oh.
And so my Uncle George, my second dad, I was just up visiting, because I think my mom was sick at the time too, and so I was up visiting, and it was kind of nice. When I lived in California, I never saw anybody.
Yeah.
When I moved to Knoxville, I was up to Detroit, just visiting and hanging out with family.
Sure.
And so my Uncle George calls Frank because they were tight as you two. They were just they loved each other. They were brothers from another mother. And my Uncle George says, "Hey Frank, let me take you to the doctor and get your staples out of your knee." So I cry sometimes when I tell this story. So my dad's I'm sitting up front with George. George has this big black whatever, man, Continental or something, you know. And my dad's sitting in the back with his leg because he couldn't move it, you know. And they turn on the radio, hand to God, and that freaking King Cole comes on singing, "They tried to tell us we're too young." And these guys break in. They were singing almost perfectly. I'm looking out the window going, I'm tearing up, man. I went back to when I was 2 and 3 when those guys would be in the shower and it was just like so moving, man. I was like,
that's a great memory.
Yeah, what a memory. Yeah, no, that's incredible. I remember, you know, with my brother, he was always into music, and he was in choir and band and all that stuff, and then later on got into had went to college, and then left college, and then started doing a minister of music out of the church. And
did he go here?
What?
College.
Yeah, I went to Carson Newman.
Oh, right on, yeah.
Yeah, and but he got into really into the church ministry and singing and leading the choirs and doing all the music for that and stuff. And then, you know, just kind of out of the blue, it was like, we're going to do a quartet, me and these other guys that grew up over here. And the next thing you know, they're performing at then Silver Dollar City.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dollywood. And
Danny Gammon and those guys talk about those places.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, they've got, they got a Silver Eagle, and they're on the road and touring. And
how cool.
I tell folks all the time, I said the first time I actually got to go on one of the trips, I'd go with them. I'd butt gear. I'd do whatever I could just to ride on that bus. Yeah. And I'd hit that jump seat, man, and see that life through that big window, that windshield. And it was just I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, early on, man, we were so young, but we were blessed as far as, my age, the people my age, when we sat in front of the TV on that Sunday when the Beatles played, after that, when, Woodstock and everything started, it was just, it was a big influence.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I learned to sing parts.
Yeah, me too.
Before I actually got in choruses and choirs and my formal training, I'd listen to those cassette tapes of my brother and that quartet singing, and I just try to pick a part and I'd try to be like that guy today.
Yeah, like the Cowsills,
try to be like that guy today.
The Cowsills family. I knew Barry in Santa Barbara, and he told me that when they were growing up in the kitchen, and Mom would sing to them. She'd sing to them when they were pregnant. So he had like 6 brothers and a sister, and just that genetic influence that you got from your brother. I had to rely on Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I learned how to sing parts. What a better tip. I mean, yeah. When I first got Deja Vu and the first record, and then, so on and so forth, I would listen really hard to what Crosby was doing, because he always had that. He had that third part, that was a little trickier than.
Something that we got to experience that people don't get to experience now, though, is actually. I mean, you've mentioned it many times, but go out and buy a record and bring it home. For me, it was a cassette at that point. I mean, they were still making LPs, and I'd open that thing up and I'd look and see, like, okay, who's playing piano on this? And
wasn't that a gift?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same anymore.
We really treasured those things. Man.
Yeah,
it's just like we only had like so much money, and then Columbia House came around. I think I still owe them guys.
I think everybody owes Columbia something.
My cat even had an account. Getty Crawley would get Gettysburg was his name. Was her name. But yeah, man,
that's missing, man. Now music is so accessible. Yeah, but there's a lot of the organic part that's missing, because I really miss going to Record Bar and Cats and those places, and even Disc Exchange for that matter.
I was at Lost and Found the other day, and it was just like I could spend an eternity.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, it's like at that point there was still, you could have experiences organically. Things could happen, happy accidents with discovering something or buying something like that versus everything just being ready like that. You were, I don't know how the right way to describe it, but you're kind of vested. You were investing in a way as well, by you had to make the trip. You had to pick it out. Is this full of fillers? Is this going to be a good record, or is it just got one hit on it?
And you didn't know because you couldn't just look it up on the internet immediately.
We had a radio station called WKNR, Keener 13 in Detroit, and they would play the Beatle exclusives. And we'd sit in our beds at night. Brian and I, my older brother, we'd have transistor radios underneath our pillows, and we'd have them down real low so Mom and Dad wouldn't get mad. They were cool. I think they knew the whole time. Yeah. But they would have an announcement, WKNR, Keener 13, Beatle exclusive, through the whole song. And they would play this. They would play their next hit.
Right.
And it was just like, I'm getting chills because it was so exciting.
Yes.
It was like middle of the night. We had a transistor radio underneath the pillow, just listening to CKLW, WKNR, and there might have been a third one. We were lucky enough to have in Detroit. We had all the Canadian TV and Canadian radio.
Yeah,
so Windsor and Toronto would all and even Cleveland. We'd get the Ghoul and Ghoulardi, which is like this crazy guy that would play rock and roll and crazy movies, kind of like, what's that guy, Svengoolie?
Yeah.
He was way before Svengoolie. Yeah.
So my old hippie neighbor, he grew up here, left, went to college, and what time he was in college, he was a disc jockey. So he had the two turntables and the microphone, and would carry the boxes of records to spin at a club that night and all this stuff. And so when I moved back up here for the first time, I got to kind of really meet him and kind of know him. He was always this, I don't know, it was weird. It was just kind of this hermit guy, and I never did understand it because I was always like, he's our neighbor. Why do we not know the fucking guy? So when I got on my own and came back up here, we met and got to be fast friends because he was such a wealth of music knowledge. I mean, this guy, I called him Trebek for a reason. Because he knew all of it. Yeah. And all of his stuff was, through books and paperbacks and hardcovers and, had directories and
liner notes and everything. Records. Yeah. That was a big deal.
And he turned me on to so much stuff I had never, I knew of people, I knew of the acts, but he turned me on to so much new stuff. New old stuff. I don't know the right way to say it. I guess
isn't that cool having people in our lives like that?
And somebody, I remember, and a perfect example, and I've told this story before, and I'll make it real quick, but somebody said something about, ZZ Top, and they fuck ZZ Top and that Eliminator bullshit and all that stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, if I hadn't have seen ZZ Top on MTV, I would have never known about Just Got Back from Babies.
Yeah.
I would have never known about
Tres Hombres
or Fandango or DeGuayo or none of that shit. So that's not the way it goes.
You triggered two stories for me.
I knew that and went back like you. That's when I started doing, and I done all my deep diving stuff like in the bluegrass world, I was 25 years old when I deep dived all of that. And then much later, when I started deep diving all the rock and roll and the pop and the country stuff and all of that, was like, phew.
It's a black hole that you just love being in.
Yeah.
You know? Hey, so the WKNR Keener 13 thing. I was listening to that growing up. You know, that was like a big influence. So I get in a band called the Tennessee Sheiks. Got to give everybody a shout out I can, you know.
You know who you are.
And Don Castle books this gig out in La Follette, and it's the Italian Fest. And they have it every year. And it's a big deal for the local folks there. And Sheiks did the first year that I played with them, the first year they did it up there. And this old guy comes walking by me, and I'm just like, sometimes I irritate the hell out of my wife because I stop and talk to everybody. And she loves me to death, I know, but every now and then it's just like, you know, we got to get going here. This guy walks by.
The same person he told, I may not have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
What should I talk about? Go ahead,
She
Crawley.
knew.
Yeah,
She
she
knew.
knew. Of course she knew.
So this guy walks by, and he had 2 buck knives. Older guy, you know, like about 80-something. Found out he was 92. And I can't remember his name. I wish I could remember his name. But I stopped and said, hey, what's up with the 2 buck knives, you know? And blah, 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 you know, yammering on. And he's like, oh, well, son. And he goes, you're playing in that band. And we start talking about knives. And he goes, you know, I used to be a DJ. And I go, oh, how cool, man. I go, where at? He goes, well, Detroit, Michigan. He goes, I was on a radio station called WKNR, Keener 13. I'm like, are you kidding me? And we went on and on. He whips out, he's an old school guy with a wallet. You know, he didn't pull out his phone. Pulls out a wallet and he goes, here, check this out. It's him. When he was a kid, they booked a gig in Windsor with the freaking Beatles. It was a gig, but he had pictures of him and Ringo. He had pictures of him and Paul and John. He goes, yeah, that's me right there. It's still in his wallet to this day, man. I was like, if I wouldn't have stopped and talked to that guy, he'd just walk by with his buck knives, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you told him you used to listen to.
No, I flipped out.
Yeah.
I said, dude, I listened to you when I was a kid, man. And I looked him up later.
Him?
Yeah, I looked him up later. I go, that was him. There was a core of just like 5 DJs or 4 DJs back in the day, kind of like, you know, WKRP.
Right.
And they used those guys over and over again, man.
Yeah.
So I listened to him, and I had the night shift, man. He goes, I couldn't get on that damn day shift. And a popular guy with a cool voice, you know. But anyways, yeah, you triggered that.
Wow.
Story.
Well, what triggered the start of my story was you talking about WKNR, but the Nabro, and I've told some of these old heads around here about it, but he had recorded segments of the from what's the one in Johnson City? Is it QUT? No, that's Knoxville, right? Anyway, the Johnson City radio station, but they had this guy called the Midnight Rambler, and he was golly,
those guys are personalities,
just
aren't they?
fucking nuts, man. But I've got some of those his old radio broadcasts on tape that the Nabro left, and that's the first thing I thought about. But definitely,
some great memories, man. I got another one you triggered. Can I tell it?
Yeah, sure.
So I decided I was going to leave Detroit, man. I just had second or third band. I was in a band called Nija. You know, it was Jan Signs Incorporated, abbreviated backwards. And don't get me started on that one. It was a good band. Terry Lee Bolton, who's a Nashville guy still. He, his dad named the band and made us T-shirts, and we practiced in the basement, you know. And so we played a bunch of gigs around town and kind of got sick and tired. I actually sang Fly By Night by Rush, believe it or not, back when I had that range. Fly by night, goodbye, my dear. Bom, bom. Anyways, got tired of that band, and my buddy Rusty, we were doing another gig with another band, and my buddy Rusty goes, Beeve. He used to call me Beeve because I had an overbite, you know, and he goes, Beeve. He goes, listen, man, let's pack up that van of yours and move to Texas, man. He goes, my dad is a union steward. He's got connections with UPS, and he can get us gigs at what was the big stadium, the first dome down there? Astrodome. So we packed up my van. I said, goodbye to everybody. My dad gave me $50 and a mobile credit card. That's all he had.
Yeah.
Rusty had a little money. Threw everything I owned into this red Econoline sin bin. There's a lot of stories about that. And we started driving. We got to Memphis. Oh no, we got to Nashville. And Rusty was like, he's one of those guys like you're talking about. Just had like your neighbor. Just had all this rock and roll knowledge. He knew about vintage bass guitars and stuff. And this was '77. he knew about, he was a bass guitar player, but he talked better than he played. But he was a really good dude named Rusty Lee, still alive. He says, Beef, man. He goes, listen, we got to stop at this place called Gruhn's Guitars. This is '77.
Yeah.
He goes, and he knew all about it. I knew little about it, I said, okay, so we're driving, we get to Nashville, and we pull into this tiny little place stuck on, I guess it was Broad Street or Broadway back then. It was right by Tootsie's, wasn't it? The first store. Mm-hmm. And we walk in. There's another hand of God. It's almost unbelievable. We walk in. We're looking at all these really cool old guitars. Can't afford anything. We're just looking at them. Rusty's strumming a little bit. I knew 4 chords, so I was like strumming a little bit, Nobody knows I play guitar, but I don't. I really don't. And we were like drooling, UPS guy comes in, and he drops off this box, and Gruhn's there, and I didn't know Gruhn either, Hey, he's talking to him for a little bit. The guy leaves. He goes, hey, man. He goes, this thing's from Texas. He goes, he drops it off, and on the name, it's '77. On the name of it, it's Billy Gibbons, and he rips it open. And he pulls out this, was it EB1 or EBO? What was the violin bass that McCartney used to play? It was his. And we're all like, what timing, We're just like rock and roll. We love rock and roll. We're just like still young kids, man. It was '77, so I was, 22, 23. And we were just staring at this thing going, what are the odds, man? A package comes in to Gruhn's Guitars that we knew very little bit about, and Gruhn's opens it up, and it's Billy Gibbons.
How cool.
Bass. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the start of that trip. And then we ended up going to Memphis, and Detroit nobody had a Wendy's but Memphis back in the '70s. Okay. We stop off in Memphis, and we got a square hamburger, man, for the first time, and it was like, this trip cannot be any cooler, And then we get to Nacogdoches, Nacogdoches and Nacogdoches, they're right next to each other, Louisiana and Texas. We stop there, and I get fucking Texas toast for the first time.
Oh,
and it's
man.
like the middle of the freaking night, man. And these people are all like, it's an old greasy spoon, and they're all real full on, friendly as hell, and I'm eating toast this big with grits. What the fuck are grits, man?
Yeah, what's a grit?
But that was a cool trip, man. That was
sounds like it.
Yeah, ended up in Baytown, Texas. And that's when she was born. We could talk forever about this, but I got on a drill ship to drill for oil now.
Yeah.
And spent a lot of time doing that too. That was a cool gig, because when we got to Texas.
So you're working as a roughneck?
No, I can't brag about that. I can brag about I was on the rig. It was a ship, and ships have to have a marine crew, captains, mates, oilers, engineers. So I was a BR when I first started. I did laundry and made beds, and so I did that for all the roughnecks in the
Okay, gotcha.
Then, that was my first hitch.
So you weren't in the patch; you was out to sea.
No, we were out on. Yeah, we were out on. Okay. We're in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And yeah, the first experience of that was crazy too, because.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I got my Z card by accident, by total accident. I was just applying for jobs. I was working for UPS. I was doing this. I was doing that. Pumping gas at an Exxon station one night. These guys pull in a van, and they're all hammered and drunk and just fucking, we just got off the rig, motherfucker. You go, what are you doing pumping gas? And they give me this name. They said, go down and talk to this guy get a Z card and get on a waiting list and come work with us out there, you know? And that's all they said. So I kept that name, and I drove down to the refinery down there in Baytown, and it was like all these huge tankers and all these ships, and it smelled like ass. Baytown still smells like ass, I think. So I went down there and I got a Z card.
All them guys would say it smells like money.
And I had that red Econoline van, and I pull up to this guard station, and the guy goes, I can't let you back there, you know, talk to anybody, you know. He goes, I can take your name. And then he looks, he goes, oh, you're from Michigan. He was from Michigan. He goes, oh, okay, yeah, here's a name. He sent me back there to the Exxon office. The guy gives me a referral to go down to the Coast Guard and get a Z card. So I went down to the Coast Guard. I got a Z card.
What's a Z card?
A Z card is like a license to be out on the water.
Okay.
Yeah. And what it does is it accumulates your time when you're out on the water.
Okay.
So when you're a merchant marine, if you're traveling all over the world, you accumulate all this sea time, and then you can become a second mate.
Okay.
Third mate, bosun. You know. Yeah. It's like kind of like going to school. You know? It's like on the job training.
Right.
I get this little Z card, and nothing. Didn't hear from Exxon, but got put on a waiting list. You know, I'm going to be on one of those tankers, man. It's like nothing. I'm sitting by the phone, nothing. All of a sudden, that's when I ran into those cats in the van. I don't know. I'm losing track. Yeah, I already had my Z card, so I go down to this company called Global Marine, and they just happened to be leased out to Exxon. And so I showed him my Z card. He gives me an address. I walked into this office and filled out an application. He gives me an address and the keys to a car. And he says, okay, drive to New Orleans and go to this little city called Gretna. And he gives me his address. And he goes, you'll meet some people down there, and they'll take you down to pretty much BFE, you know, almost the end of the world in Venice, in Louisiana. And they'll put you on a chopper. And I was on the rig the next night.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It was just like a calamity of errors that
how crazy.
Yeah. And it was the end of the world. They you know, if you go down to New Orleans and you head south, all you see is the bayou, like splintering of the Mississippi River, splintering off into the bayou, and you see houses on stilts, you know?
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of the night driving this strange car down to Venice, you know, and they put me up in this no-tell motel, roaches all over the place, and this guy bangs on my door the next morning. He goes, hey, you Crawley? He goes, yeah. All right, man, let's go. Put me on a chopper, PHI chopper, who Chris Christopherson used to work at the same company a few years before.
Yeah.
He was a PHI chopper pilot. Next thing you know, I'm out on a rig, man. I'm fucking working. I'm working in a kitchen, swaying back and forth, going, huh. Well, actually, I did the BR thing first. And then it turned me into a first cook, second cook.
Yeah.
Christoph.
Not a bad gig,
No,
I don't
man,
guess.
that was great money.
I'd say, yeah.
I looked at, Social Security sends you those, your information on how much you made over the years. Yeah, I was making 20 and 30 grand in the 70s.
Wow.
For like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Damn.
Christopherson wrote, help me make it through the night on the oil rig.
Yeah. And you know, the cool thing about that job, Mike, Jamie, was I would work for 3 weeks, busting my ass on a rig, and I would come home and play almost 3 nights with a band called Money Talks in Detroit. I moved back from Houston to Detroit, and I did that for 3 years straight.
Wow.
Yeah, and these guys would they'd just wait and they would practice while I was gone on the rig, and I'd come back in the rig and we would play.
So you'd be out to see it like 3 weeks,
3 weeks
and then you'd
and I
have
had 3 weeks off.
Oh,
Yeah. Talk about a drunken sailor.
You just drove,
boy.
and you just drove back.
Everybody on that rig, man, would come back broke, except for the old school Navy guys, you know.
Yeah.
They knew how to, they all had families. And most of the people I worked with still, I lived in Detroit. Some other people, we'd fly back onto the rig, like probably 25, 30 people on a crew. And they still lived in Louisiana and Texas and oil rig guys, man. There's a breed right there, man.
Wow.
That's some crazy.
Yeah.
That's where I learned how to drink and take speed. And got really good at that too.
Oh, shit. That's funny, man. Well, I know you got some things that you're wanting to do a little later on.
Are you guys going tonight to that WDVX thing? Or?
No, we'll have...
Because it's a Merle Haggard thing. I thought you'd be front and center.
Well, normally we would, but we were actually going to be doing recording a couple of more of these with cigar content, so we'll have time to be able to be off through the holidays.
I just want to thank you, man, for having me involved in the Christmas extravaganza, telling all kinds of folks. It's for me, man. I remember when you first started it, and you had me up a couple of times, and I came back and I did some photography stuff, and I got a lot of pictures of the old days of you guys. Yeah, almost every year.
Yeah, well, you sent me a picture of with
Karen
Karen. Yeah. Yeah, man, it was. It's been kind of a crazy. It's been kind of a crazy thing. I talked to who was it? I talked to a couple of guys yesterday that I hadn't spoke to in a while, and they were asking me about it, and it was like, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah. It's 13 years, man. You've been, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, I don't ever really think about it that way. Last year, I thought about it a lot in that regards of like nostalgia,
reminiscing. Yeah.
This year, I don't know. For some reason, I've not quite gotten into the spirit.
You will. Yeah. Every time I see you on stage when you do that, it's like dressed to the nines. You're having a blast. Perkles around somewhere. Somebody's, you got pretty much the same tight band, or some of those cats like Poe and Hunter Deacon and Jamie. Jamie's there. Like,
Jamie's
cool
been there since
like
16.
Yeah.
I think this is my 9th one. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then
Second Harvest. You're doing such good work with that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I definitely believe in it.
Yeah.
And I think that helps out a lot too, and I've seen their operation. I know what good they do. And I know it's not, we're not hustling anybody to get money and 5 cents of that goes to the cause. It's 95 cents of every dollar goes to the cause.
Yeah,
and it's the only time of the year you'll put your ass in the seat to biz you for $20. I guarantee
absolutely.
you that.
People I need to ask you later about my comps. I got 2 people, my bowling team. One lady's a really sweetheart. She keeps asking me. I'm like, I don't know yet. I don't know. I can't commit to anything, but
Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah,
we'll get it all squared away.
But when Snuckles got involved early on, I thought he did a great job with you guys. And,
and
he took us out one time. Gretchen and I, we did a gig out there with the Sauce Boss, Jen and her cool friends.
Yeah,
and he took us and he gave us a whole tour of the place.
Yeah,
and those big pallets of Rice Krispies or whatever, or cornflakes and stuff.
Yeah,
that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, well, now they've even got now they have a complete. So they have a 15,000 square foot warehouse, and then they have a section of it that's all freezer.
Yeah, I was in the freezer too.
And it's gotten bigger.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. It's amazing they can still feed. They can still make 3 meals per $1.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
20
years ago, I would have said that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. They got people in this world that are doing that, man. I know. We didn't talk much about my recovery, but being involved in something like that is it's personal to me, and I don't care. I wear it on my sleeve to a point. I don't break anybody's anonymity.
Sure.
But nowadays, everybody's either California sober or something like that, and it's just like, it's a big deal when we're able to give back like that.
Well, absolutely. No, I tell people all the time, especially when people take part of it. And I truly mean it. The time and talent that everybody has to put forward to that, it's pretty overwhelming to me as a person every year. And It really speaks.
I just want to say I'm 100% excited. I'm running through scenarios of how this is going to be because I love that stage and I love the people that work there.
Absolutely.
And getting you guys, just hearing everybody else.
It's going to be fun.
Trisha Jean and Shauna and everybody just.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a really good time. And I feel like we got, this year we're doing a few things just a tad different. But I think we've got some things that are just going to be. I just think it's a really good program from start to finish. And I think it's something, I say this every year, but it literally is going to have, it's all Christmas music, but it's literally going to be something for everybody.
Yeah. That's a good
because we cover so much genre of music in it. And I think that's one of the things that was always exciting to me because I grew up, my formative years as a musician or as thinking that's what I wanted to become, the emphasis was more on entertainment and variety than it was on anything else. We grew up in that era of the variety shows on TV.
Yeah.
And when you went and seen your brother perform in front of hundreds of thousands of families every year, and the stuff they would come up with and the things they did to be entertaining and how to read a crowd, how to read the room, how to put all that together. Yeah. It's ultra special to me. And
you handpick some good dudes, man.
Well, and then, there's every year, and we've got 2 this year.
And women, sorry.
Yes. We've got 2 people this year that, let me start over. Every year, when I think about getting guests, I try to get somebody, I try to make sure there's somebody that's never got to be on that stage before.
Yeah.
That they can know what it feels like on this side of the microphone versus that side of being there and seeing shows really cool. and
we know how that is.
Fuck yeah, there ain't nobody said you.
When I first started doing this, I was so nervous and to see someone else look and feel like we did when we were younger, just for the first time or maybe
absolutely.
That's why letting people sit in is just like always been a credo.
Yeah, I've never had, I guess everybody's got their own amount of ego, but I've never had that part of my ego of jealousy.
Yeah.
I know what I do. I know what I can do, and I know I'm good at what I do. So, that old saying,
comparison's a thief of joy.
Yeah, comparison's a thief of joy. That's a good one. But the old Jimmy Martin saying was, it's one jackass at a time.
Yeah.
And when it's my time, I'm the lead jackass.
Yeah.
But I welcome that. Collaboration, man, is.
I had to have patience, and I
had to learn that.
Years ago, somebody told me one time,
that.
Just stay in your lane, man.
Yeah.
Find your wheelhouse and just be there, Don't, So I try to do it, even though I get asked to do other things, so I turn things down because I know it's just not going to be, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to have my whole heart into it,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned this earlier in the week when we had talked, but, and just speaking of recovery, today's a special day.
Yesterday, but yeah.
Yesterday.
Every day is, but
yeah, of course.
The big one, yeah.
And what was the big one about yesterday?
It was 41. It was 41 years, 492 months, 14,976 days, and as of yesterday, it was 319,403 hours when I downloaded that picture.
Yeah. Well,
I got this 12-step app that and it updates every hour on the hour if you want it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like some, addicts and alcoholics need that validation and they need that support. And, it's not an ego thing as much as it is like a real support system, And we have our own little,
it is.
We have our own little cliques,
Sure.
I was in a meeting this morning in Ireland with 26 people that I've known for 5 years because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy for somebody to say, we'll be there. I'll be there for you.
Yeah.
It's real easy to say.
Yeah.
I just said it.
Yeah.
But to be able to do it, that's another. And then even if you're like that top notch or that top level friend, if you don't understand the problem firsthand, there's going to be a point in a time where you look and you say, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and I can say this, but most of the time that is giving up on that person for their, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
I have done all of this and becomes about me.
Yeah.
Versus,
we have a couple of sayings. We have a bunch of sayings,
but if I was suffering from that same disease, I would imagine that I'm sure you get frustrated with folks from time to time when they keep making the same mistake, but you understand it.
It could be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I've sponsored a few guys over the years, and I see them on the street, and you probably know a couple of them, just from being around, music, and it is heartbreaking. There's a couple of guys out there that we talk about them a lot. Stevie and I are really good friends with two people in particular that we just hope for the best, and we pray a lot, and we show up for them. I had two people in my life when I first got sober in '84, and it was my dad and my first sponsor, Dave Crane, and I still play his music to this day. That song "Rubber Radio," and there's a handful of other songs that we do. He wrote, I was fortunate to a musician that was struggling with the same things I was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how. Yeah.
My father died 36 years sober, and he worked in treatment, and he did the same thing like you were saying, man. He was there for people.
Yeah.
Until they weren't there for him. It's just like there's times where you got to let them go, man. You can't enable people.
Well, you were saying there's a couple of sayings you all have in the industry. What were those?
Oh, well, it's just like when you first enter that type of environment, you'll go into a room kind of like this, and they're just stuck on the wall. And every now and then, you'll see something like live and let live, let go and let God, easy does it. And when I first saw those on my dad's bumper, he had a bumper sticker that said easy does it. It was just like, what does that mean? And I still, until I got sober, I was like, what does it mean? I found out later, through working a 12-step program, that those are credos. And every now and then I'll look at one and it'll make sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, okay, it's that mundane, blah, 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 blah. But every now and then you go to a meeting and here's something that sticks, and you'll take it with you. And you'll put it in your heart and you'll keep it,
Yeah.
And so that's what I do, It's like,
well,
I try not to, wave the flag because, everybody is a little different, and I don't,
hey,
I
man,
promote it on a level that I think's fair.
It's like we've said it many times, is like the only thing in some of our, we haven't said it on here many times, but it's appropriate now. If you go back and look in the Bible, everything that after every miracle Christ performed, the only thing he ever told anybody to do was to tell others what good I've done for you.
Yeah.
So I would imagine
There's a lot of that.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Is I can only tell you the good things that's happened in my life because of this. And if you'd like to hear that,
yeah.
I can.
That's why, when
we can back a dump truck up here and I can give you a big load of them.
So when I first met Dave Crane, he stormed across the room because he knew I was a musician. And he put out his hand. And he says, "Hey, my name's Dave C, man. Here's my number. Call me." And from that day to the day he died, we stayed like really close friends. And, he had his qualms. He made a joke one time about it. You got to be careful who you sponsor. They may end up sponsoring you someday because he had a few relapses and he died of liver complications of cancer, liver cancer, through the complications of intravenous use and Hep C and all that. But he stayed true to the program, man, right up to the day he died. We were actually going to meetings when we were younger in '84, and in 2003 when he first got sick, I went out to visit him. My wife said, "Hey, you need to go out and see Dave." So I spent a whole week with him, and it was like the old days, playing music together, going to meetings, joking around, hanging out. He was just true. He was a true human being, man.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that guy, man.
Well, I think I'd love to do 3 or 4 more hours of this.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'll say this.
Yeah, we got to go. Yeah.
Would you want to come back and sit in with us again?
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Okay.
Maybe I'll play the harp next time.
Yeah, we can play a little harp, and then we got a bunch of questions that we normally ask guests.
I was going to play Silent Night, but I'm still woodshedding that thing. I want it to be perfect, man. I think it's going to be a good version.
Oh, I think it's going to be.
That's all because of you. I wasn't going to do it, and you go, "Oh, I love that Charlie Musselwhite version, man." You got to do it. So
now I went and listened to it, and I was just like, you know what I thought about, and I told Jamie this too, about that tune in particular. It's there's nothing about it that's flashy.
No.
It's melody.
Yeah.
From stem to stern, beginning to end, and I was going to ask you this. So is there, versus playing off of 3 reeds versus playing off of just one?
Well, what I do is I play, I play a G harp.
Yeah.
And I do 2 sections, different types of like intervals. And he does play that high register at one point, but it's still on the same harp.
Yeah.
So it's actually,
Is it harder, though? My question was going to be, is it harder to play
single
note versus doing your
chords and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's one note you got to bend, and you got to bend. It's like, you got to bend and hold it. And if you don't hold it right, it goes flat, and the band's actually going to be playing with me. And Poe's bailing me out a little bit on that note.
Yeah.
He's playing with me. So it's actually, but it's trickier. Yeah. The single noting is.
I was wondering about that.
When you're blowing a chord, you're doing like you're using your tongue and you're blowing out. And when you blow a chord on a harp.
Strength in numbers, right?
Yeah. But there's a lot of cool things that he does in there that I've been trying. Like he does a trill at the top, and he bends those high notes there.
Yeah.
And then he goes back down, and it's really cool the way he arranged that.
Yeah. No.
And Ben's playing this little cool little bluesy little thing in between too.
I heard it, and I was just after you mentioned it, and I was like, man, it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
So, you got anything? You got anything coming up? You want to plug, promote?
Everything's the Tennessee Sheiks and Crawdaddy Jones, and everything's just kind of a little bit up in the air. We got a lot of stuff going on with the Tennessee Sheiks,
right? And
Stevie and I are trying to do as much as we can together next year because he's busy with his wife, and he plays a full service, and he plays with by himself too. So we're busy. Yeah. I'm easy to find. Yeah.
Well, where do they find you?
Basically on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll do a little TikTok once in a while, but it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a hard guy to find.
No. Have you got music available online or is?
Yeah, I have a record with the Tennessee Sheiks and a record with Janitor Cool Friends and a couple other things.
Okay.
I'm kind of one of those guys that been freelancing all my life. I have my own original music, and I've recorded a lot of stuff. It's just like my ADHD and all my addiction and stuff got me going left and right and center. And so it's like next couple of years, I'm going to focus in on, just my stuff.
Yeah.
Because Crane and I wrote together.
Okay.
Stevie and I wrote a little bit together, So.
Well, I'd like to have you back because just the whole thing about the oil rig thing. I never knew, and I'm sure.
I gotta use the bathroom too. I drank so much water on the way here, and
all right,
coffee. And
well, folks, we appreciate you sticking around. Crawley, thank you for coming out. Mike's going to be one of our guests on the 13th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular, December 22nd at the Bijou Theater from 7 to 9 p.m. Get your tickets at knoxbijou.org.
Only at
Only. I received a message today from a lady who had bought them through another site, and I'm afraid she has gotten scammed.
Oh, man.
And it's a real... it's a real shame that that's happening, especially on something that's trying to do so much good for folks. So, knoxbijou.org, 13th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. Tickets are $20. All $20 of that is going to feed the kids. So, if you'll come out and support us, I think you'll have a great time and you'll be doing a world of good.
Right on.
Folks, be kind to one another. It is, play us out, Hart. Be kind to one another, folks. We have, it doesn't cost a dime to be kind, but there's always a price to be paid for cruelty.
Right on, brother.
So, Crawley, love you, brother.
President.
No, I don't want that job, man.
The mayor.
Well,
mayor. You wrestle, don't you?
Yeah, I'll wrestle. I'll hit that big sumbitch with a chair.
There you go.
I'll put a mask on,
you guys,
too.
Man. I
love you, too.
I want to say, Jamie and I have been friends for 100 years. And Mike, what you do is over the moon fantastic, man.
Well,
I really appreciate you.
I appreciate that, and I couldn't do it without guys like yourselves. Right. So, come back and see us. Folks, you heard it here first. That's one more for the good guys. You want to do another one?
Yeah.
See ya. I'll be gone in the morning before the sun comes up with me and my weenie dog and my pickup truck. And either way, baby, a good man, it's hard to find. I said, now either way, baby, a good man is hard to find.